Okay, so I have one really specific pet peeve when it comes to Taekwondo competitions. I'm a really experienced competitor. I've been competing more as an adult, although I did go when I was a kid. Most of my trophies are as an adult, and I just really need to talk about it. So some competitions will have an event called destruction. Most people who don't do martial arts know about this. It's like board breaking, only except for doing it with wooden boards. They're also in America, they do it with bricks and stuff. Typically in the UK, we use what we call rebreaker boards, which means they're sort of hardcore plastic. You can see mine here, and you slot them in, and they've got this jigsaw type shape. You put them back in, and you know it's secure every time. So instead of it being with a wooden board where you create a seam at your point of contact, you'll have to get it in the middle of this line, which is incredibly central, so you know that you're actually going to be able to break the board. You have to have power and aim. There's a strength element, but also a speed element, a technique element, whole bunch of stuff going on here. Now there's a few different ways how people run destruction at Taekwondo competitions. They'll pretty much always split by gender, so male and female. You have to be an adult to do it. It's pretty standard that they'll only accept blue belts and upwards out of the adults, because you have to be able to prove that you have a degree of competency and you're unlikely to be like a major insurance risk. And insurance is a big reason a lot of these competitions don't do breaking, although it can also just be a time issue and they need to get out of the venue. Now, the specific techniques that you're asked to do vary so much depending on the organization, the time of day, what the person judging it feels like seeing. A lot of organizations do have set regulations, but event to event, you tend to just not know what you're going to get until you're going to get there. There's also a big debate on why men are normally asked to do a straight punch and women aren't, and that's like, sexism, but you know, whatever. I don't really care about that bit. So I'm usually getting my medals in sparring, and I have had the odd one in patterns. Got some special technique as well, which a lot of adults aren't asked to do special technique, and I do have medals in breaking. So breaking is the unique one in that a lot of time they don't do bronze, silver, gold. They just do the winner. You get the gold medal, and that's it. If you don't get gold, you go home with nothing, which I don't really think I'm a big fan of, but sometimes there's not a lot of people even taking part. It's at the end of the day, everyone's already gone home, they don't want to be bothered hanging back after their sparring division. So sometimes I have to go and force a female to even compete with me in destruction, because I will take any opportunity for a medal I can get. One time it was literally just me and the women's, and they were like, you've been here all day, we've seen you waiting, you live up north and we were in Cheltenham, so you've been waiting to get home, so we're just going to put you in the blokes. And I didn't win with the blokes, but they did bronze, silver, gold for that one, and because I did break, I successfully completed some breaks, they gave me a medal, so I technically got the bronze of the mixed gender division, which was nice. But because it's very much you win or you lose at these things a lot of the time, it can be really annoying when this happens. Of the techniques you get, it's almost guaranteed that everyone will be asked to do a side kick. A side kick is like the default technique of Taekwondo. It's one of the first 3 kicks you learn when you're a white belt. The idea is you have your foot sword here, which is like the edge bit of your foot here, that if I stomp on the side of it, that's what you got. So you got the ball of your foot on the front, your foot sword. Those are like 2 of the basic weapons of the feet before you start getting the heels and everything else involved. So a demonstration of a side kick, I'll do it from this angle, and then from the front. You can see that I'm opening up the hip by rotating the standing foot as I extend, and your target surface is your foot sword. So you make contact with your foot sword on the line of the rebreaker board. Then you get further along and you may be asked to do a reverse side kick. You're on this position, you turn towards your back, you rotate around, you chamber your knee up here, and then you extend for the side kick. But before you get to the reverse side kick, a really common combination of the events I attend is you'll get asked to do a side kick, then a knife hand strike, a turning kick, a back kick, and then you get the option as a woman to do either a palm heel strike or an elbow strike. And they will normally do those 5 techniques. And then if it's a tie, they'll go to the other side. And then if it's still a tie, then they'll start doing reverse side kicks, or whoever breaks the most, or first person to fail a break, add more boards. It's like a whole there's options. But the thing is, this original round, they will allow everyone to complete the 5 techniques. You can ask how many boards you want, and like 1 board break is 1 point. And if you don't complete any of the 5 breaks, and enough people do complete all 5 breaks, you're immediately eliminated. Now, what has happened to me on multiple occasions, which infuriates me. This might happen on the first or the second side, but on one side, I will complete my back kick, and then someone else completes the same number of board breaks as me. We end up on the second round, and then I have to do it with my less dominant leg, where my aim might not be as good, and I will fail to break on my back kick. A back kick, it's, let's say you're starting in your fighting stance here, you're pivoting the upper part of your body, you're looking over your shoulder, you lift up the leg, and it pierces through, almost like a donkey kick situation. Whereas a reverse side kick, your knee chambers around the edge. So we've got a reverse side kick versus a back kick. Through and around. Back kick is through, reverse side kick is around. Just think about it like that, okay? I'm sure most people watching this video know anyway, but just for those who don't. And what will happen is I will fail one of my back kicks, and then as a consequence, I am eliminated, or I lose what is currently a tiebreaker. And then I will watch someone else go to attempt their back kick, but they actually do a reverse side kick. It's the wrong technique. There's elements of power, of speed, of technique. They break the board, so everyone goes, yay, well done, you broke it. But they didn't do it with the intended weapon. I could almost understand if they're like, oh, I didn't quite see, oh, it was too fast, oh, I didn't know I thought. But in sparring, there's moving targets, you've got like 4 referees, there's people going at different angles. With destruction, you can just look at the board. Just look at the board, look at if the board falls down and breaks, look at when it makes contact with the foot, then you can see what shape the foot is in when you do it. If you're doing a reverse side kick, the foot will have the toes pointing horizontally. If you're doing a back kick, the toes will be pointing to the ground. It's not actually hard. Maybe there's only one person reffing, but if that's the case, they are the person holding the breaker board stand. If there's multiple, there's no excuse you're not deferring. And quite often it happens where I'm in a tiebreaker, I don't get my back kick, or I do and something else happens, or this person will beat me by 1 point because the reverse side kick is counted as a back kick break. And this isn't the only technique it happens with, this is just the one it happens most commonly with. You know, I was saying that normally there's like a knife hand strike, where the striking tool is the side of your hand here, your knife hand shockingly, and you have to get that on the line of the breaker board. This is the surface area, and the line is also a straight line. So you need to get like 100% coverage of the line to break the board, right? But I have seen it where people have beaten me because they start with the knife hand technique, and then just at the last second, they close their fist and turn it into a hammer fist. So they now have a much wider surface area to make contact with the breaker line. And I normally fail my knife hand strike when I fail it, because I full on just hit it with my forearm. I have a permanent indent in the bone of my forearm where I can feel where I failed it. But that's a me problem. I can't stand when they don't count it as a failed technique, because yes, you broke it, but you broke it with a hammer fist. If I broke it with my foot for a knife hand strike, it would still be wrong. So what's the difference? That's my little tirade. I always say, because obviously you can only go off what the refs see, and they're volunteers. The referees don't necessarily have a reason to give a shit, but they are giving up their time to be involved in this event. They're attaching their name to it in a way. I don't like being asked to umpire and referee because I am not actually qualified to. I always get given the minor jobs, but it stresses me out. And then when something goes wrong, I still know that that was me and it has affected someone else's day. It's an event they've paid to go to, and I am not even really a volunteer. I volunteer when I'm told to help out with the people I know organising the event. But these people stay at the end of the day to ref breaking, who are normally like masters. I can't say I've ever seen a grandmaster umpiring or reffing for destruction, but you know, they're like people with a high degree of skill who have a great deal of stock in their knowledge of the martial arts, and then they just miss that it was the wrong technique. It's like, how does anyone benefit from this? except the person who might not have got the medal if they did it correctly. I would want to win off doing something wrong, personally. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and tell me what your pet peeves are at Taekwondo competitions. Subscribe to see more of my rants.